First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Bashem Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone that have taught us this truth, and to include the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Barakatham to those of the household of this faith who are the elect, which have been predestinated for salvation. And so what I want to do is I want to get into some interesting stuff, man, in regards to what's been had around the world, as in the UK, first beginning here, because this is where I rest my head at. Right? So what's being stated is that we ought to prepare for crises which could very well be on the verge by next year, or let's just say from now on towards next year, between that time, should I say. So, that's one thing. And then in Germany, you have, the terror threat level has been raised, which I'm going to be getting into that later on. So there's this the spirit of preparing for the worst to come, because that's where the world is going to end up going anyway, right? And is it a bad time for the world? Oh, yes, indeed. But is it for us that believe in the next world to come? Oh, hell no. This world has to come to an end before the kingdom is set up. And that's what we're expecting. All right. So now let's get right into the news. As this reads, what's really going on? UK government announced mass stockpile order war games. The British government is preparing to tell ordinary people a blunt message: the state is not coming to save you. Households will be urged to stockpile long life food, bottled water, essentials, medicines, and even wind up radios as part of a new national resilience campaign launching later this year. At the same time, ministers have confirmed Operation Albinston Shadow, the largest home defense war game exercise in decades, will take place in the year 2027, testing responses to hybrid attacks alongside a major NATO drill. Officials frame it all around Russian cyber threats, sabotage risks, and the need to update the old government war book. Yet the timing and language raise a sharper questioning about what Whitehall is actually preparing for. Yeah, so here's the video over here. Let's play this.
The UK will hold its largest home defence exercise in decades next year to better prepare the whole country for the possibility of war.
Says a new campaign will be launched later this year to raise public awareness about the importance of national resilience. Well, our defence and security editor, Deborah Haynes, has more on this. And Deborah, when we're talking about war, are we talking about troops on the ground or something in terms of modern warfare?
Well, I mean, this is something that has been planned and talked about behind the scenes for a lot of months now. So I think for people that have been involved in home defence planning and national resilience, it really is a big moment. What's going to be happening next year is that there is going to be the largest ever the largest home defence exercise in decades. It's going to likely involve ministers as well as hundreds of officials from government and also local authorities. It's going to be playing out over a number of days. We'll be testing the UK's responses to what's known as hybrid threats. Now, the statement that's been released by Darren Jones and the Cabinet Office, so he's the Secretary to the Prime Minister, doesn't go in details about the kind of threats that will be simulated. But when you're talking about hybrid attacks, it's under the threshold of all-out war. It could be cyber attacks, it could be sabotage attacks to things like critical undersea cables or potentially assassinations. We also know that this exercise is going to be dubbed Operation Albinston Shadow, and it's going to complement a much wider NATO exercise that will also be taking place. And you could well imagine that NATO exercise stimulating much more up to the beyond the threshold of all-out armed attack. And this is the kind of exercise that used to take place fairly routinely during the Cold War in terms of home defence preparedness, as well as complementing wider NATO defence planning. And Darren Jones says that there used to be a suite of plans that the UK had called the Government War Book, and it was the blueprint to transition the whole of society from, yes, the armed forces, the emergency services, government, but all the way through to business, schools, hospitals, charities, industry, everybody, that transition from peace to war. And we're told today, confirmation to what Sky News and others have been reporting for a long time now, that the government is working on updating these war books. And
yeah, and the reason for all of this, to be honest with you, because now this leads me to say, because the world is at war, basically. And this is another reasoning to bring about martial law conditions. You know, that's another thing we can't forget. This has been on the books forever. And again, just like, Winston Churchill once said, let not a good crisis go to waste. So, and I want to bring this into the mix as well. This is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them yet. So we're supposed to repent back to the Lord before the days of evil come. You know, like some of us have came into this thing. Most of us, I would say, most of us came into this thing when we were young men. Some brothers came in this thing, you know, being older men and what have you, right? But ultimately, we were all born again, and we grew up as children in this truth. You know what I mean? But usually, you know, the Most High calls for the young men, because the young men, they got the mind, they got the drive, the energy, and all of that stuff, so that His purposes can be in effect. And the purpose of what we do is to serve the purpose of the Lord Himself, which is to glorify His name and to glorify His work. All right, which in tandem glorifies His name, doesn't it? So this is what we were called to do, and to prophesy. Speaking of glorifying Him, we're called to preach the word and to give warning, you know, as the prophets always did. The prophets didn't speak of good times for the most part. They spoke of evil times coming. So we're right at the precipice of the days of evil, which the Lord is going to bring. And I want to read this as well. This is Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, and of wars and of evils and of pestilence. Yeah. You know, so anything could go down. You could even have a pestilence, which was what we had 6 years ago, which was man-made. And I'm not going to, you know, elaborate on what I'm talking about. You should know what I'm talking about, because I said 6 years ago. You know, so yeah, these things the prophets preached on, and these things came to pass. All right, it's kind of like when Samuel went towards the elders, and the elders were shit themselves. Why? Because the prophets were always known for laying down a bad message, a gut-wrenching message, so to speak. All right, so yeah, that's where we come in. That's where we come in. And I mean, you can call us the doomsayers or the doom prophets, whatever you want to call us, but that's all that's getting ready to come. It ain't nothing else coming besides doom. All right, and in doom, in the doom and gloomy times, there's going to be good things that's going to happen. And the good things that will be is that those that stood up for righteousness will be delivered and saved. Okay, so now let me read this. This is Romans 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake God of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Yeah, because our salvation is going to take place right in the midst of Jacob's trouble. You know, so we're drawing closer and closer to Jacob's trouble right about now. And again, there's the spirit out there of preparing for what's to come. And I want to play this video too. I'm going to play like maybe 3 minutes in, and then I'm going to end this video right here. And we're going to go on to the next one. Shalom.
Prepping your house for what's to come. First thing I want you to start with is water. Today, right now, I want you to go figure out how many people you have in your house, and you need to go get a minimal of 5 days worth of water for them.
Stuff is getting real. It's been real, but it's real. We better prepare. We better prepare mentally for what is to come, because you're going to have to be extremely strong. You're going to have to be strategic. You're going to have to be calculated in the moves that you're about to have to make. Things are about to get crazy.
I've told you how many times time's running out. Boy, is it ever. Every day we wake up and Janet tells me something that she found out. And I have things that I know that I don't share. And it all boils down to the fact that people who are dragging their feet for prepping and water storage are absolute fools. I say it stronger. They're fucking fools. Who the hell's going to save your ass?
First of all, if you need medication of any kind, you better go out and buy all the medicines you can get, because in a few months they won't be available, because the petroleum industry has a big role to play in the production of pharmaceuticals. So that's my first piece of advice. And secondly, start thinking in terms of storing food and any other items that you think you may need, because as this war continues, and it's going to continue, the impact that I talked about earlier is going to be felt here at it. But in the meantime, I think you just need to prepare for the worst here. And once the stock market figures out, or the investors, the people in New York that run the financial system, who are largely part of the problem for us, they're going to say, oh my God, and you're going to watch the stock market tank, and you're going to watch the cost of a barrel of oil go up to 200 and potentially all the way to 3. And all of that is going to bring everything inside the United States to a screeching halt.
It's going to get worse. Some of you may not agree with that, but I would just tell you, look at the world. The world is a worse place than the one I was born into. It's trending toward darkness and destruction. And as we get closer to the end, it seems like there's going to be more suffering.
I have noticed a very strange behavior among the rich folk. I've been delivering since 2014, and I have never seen the rich folk prepping like they've been doing the last 2 months. They have buying, a lot of them have been buying dry foods, buying generators. A lot of them have been trying, getting dry foods.
And what I forgot to get into is this article over here. So let me read into this, and then I'm going to close out. So yeah, as this reads, Germany raises terror threat to high, warns attacks could happen at any time. Germany has raised its national terror threat level from a strap to high after the intelligence agency detected an increase in potential attack plans. Interior Minister Alexander de Brint has said, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the move comes as Chancellor Friedrich Merz's government prepares to expand powers, or the powers, of the country's intelligence services. Speaking to the German newspaper Welt am Sonntag, de Brint said the revised assessment was based on a growing volume of intelligence indicating possible T threats. So there you go. So the world has to be on high alert of what could possibly come to pass, man. And prepping ain't gonna do it. Now, okay, it's nothing wrong with a little prep here and there. You could do that, but the real thing to prep, which the term prep means to prepare. This is the short way of saying prepare, right? The way we gotta prepare is by taking heed to the word. Let me go to this website over here. That's the prep right there. The prep is taking heed to the word of the Lord, because that's what's gonna get us the hell out of here, man. That's what's gonna save us out of times of harm. Let's even pull this out real quick. This is Proverbs 11 and what is it? Verse 4, right? Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness, and here's the point, but righteousness delivereth from death. And that's all I need to read. So we need to get into the word so that we can perform the righteousness thereof. And then after that's all said and done, then the reward will come. Or better yet, let me use another word. The consequence will be to that we will be delivered and saved as a result of our righteousness, as verse 8 puts it. Let's read this part. The righteous is delivered out of trouble, and the wicked cometh in his stead. So there you go. And I'm also want to read this as well. This is Psalms 34 and verse 21. Evil shall slay the wicked, and they that hate the righteous, shall be desolate. Right. So there you go. So when the evil times come, it's not for us to be concerned or worried, because the evil times are for the evil. They that didn't want to repent. Just like the flood. When the flood came, the flood was for the majority of those that didn't want to hearken unto Noah. And the flood came and took them all away because of wickedness that was waxing so great at the time. That was the purpose of the flood. So the purpose of the second death this time around is to what? Is to get rid of the wicked. Whether it's the wicked among these other nations, whether it's, the wicked among our people, and the wicked, which is the so-called white man. All of these souls that are wicked are going to get what? Destroyed. They're going to get done away with. They're going to be eradicated. Now, you're still going to have some people that's going to be on the earth, because, we're going to need, someone to build these altars of ours and these buildings, and to rebuild back the place which is going to be desolate, which is going to be Jerusalem, after the dust and smoke is cleared, after the war that's been had, right? So you're still going to have some people that's going to be alive, but they're going to be messed up because of the traumatic experiences that they had to undergo. Loss of families, loss of friends, you name it. So the people that remain alive, they're going to be in the worst case scenario, while we're going to come out of them ships. And we're going to be souped up men with spiritual power, and we're going to pretty much rule the rest of these people, put them into captivity, these other nations especially. And that's how our places are going to be restored and rebuilt. All right. So the evil time is for evil, wicked people. So we, the righteous, we don't got to worry about nothing, man. All we got to do is continue to fear the Lord, and the fear of the Lord alone will get us away from doing harm to ourselves and doing harm to brothers, and putting ourselves in a bad situation with the Lord, which we don't want to do that at all. As that's written, that it is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. All right. So now let me continue to read this verse as well. As this reads, the Lord Yahweh redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate. Exactly. So as long as we trust in the Lord, as long as we're engaged with our power, then nothing can go wrong. Now, things are going to go wrong nonetheless, but it's not going to take us out. Even in this lifetime right now, there's things that we go through as men of the Lord and what have you, but it's not to the extent where it breaks our faith, or it takes us, out of our misery, so to speak, if you know what I mean, right? So we're still here. And even if brothers have passed away, they're going to be resurrected anyway. So it's all good. The Lord got our backs, man. He's got us covered. So that's all that that needs to be said of me and through the Holy Spirit. So yeah, that's all I got to say with this. Now I say shalom.